Okay, so first off, I just want to say, I get it.
You get what?
High school.
Kamala. Another Avengers shirt. Cute. She thinks I'm some kind of weirdo.
You were a weirdo.
Boys.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
You're kind of on my shirt.
Sorry.
But you're staring out the window in your little fantasy land. Kamala, hey! Already? Really? Come on, like...
Do I have to figure out my whole future before lunch, or is there like... Maybe they're right. I spend too much time in fantasy land.
That is not you.
It's not really the brown girls from Jersey City who save the world. That's a fantasy too.
Did something happen to you?
No, why? Did you hear something?
Kamala?
What does it feel like?
Cosmic. I always thought I wanted this kind of life, but I never imagined any of this.
Do you know what you are?
I'm a superhero.
Hello and welcome to the periodic table of awesome.
Yeah.
I know, wow, Quinny, you got really big there all of a sudden.
I
know.
He used his embiggen powers.
I did. I
You are the Cree supreme intelligence of this podcast, and that is a deep
Literally
cut.
like 2 seconds before our faces came on, and it just went.
There you go.
I'm like, okay.
Oh my goodness gracious!
I'll fix it. There we go.
Me.
I just needed to try and cool my jets a little bit because my cold temperature is all a
Thanks.
bit
Thanks
That
for
was a power
saying
move.
welcome back.
Yeah.
I'm back.
He's
Alive.
back.
Hey,
On
guess who's
camera.
back?
Guess who's back?
Back
Back again.
Yeah.
And
Shady's back.
yeah, because I had COVID. Hooray. Great. Finally caught me
Yay.
and I was in isolation. So no, to answer your question, Missy, I'm not in ISO anymore. I'm allowed out.
Yeah, but you know who
There we
is?
go. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's up to you guys to tell if you want to say.
Oh,
Yeah,
look,
those-
I'm happy to tell the world because I'm
these
not going out
guys
anyway.
who's got COVID, those guys.
Not yet.
Well,
Not
that's
until
all
the
right.
test tells me so.
Anyway, yeah, and I'm just thanks for being here because you seem okay, and I'm good. It's good to see.
Wouldn't miss it.
And if
Would
it-
not miss it.
You can always send us.
Oh no, Karina has the COVID.
Chuck us $2 at the Ko-fi, and I'll definitely send them a care package of I don't know Uber Eats that they can leave
What a-
outside the doorstep.
One of my favourite things about you, Dion, is that that you refer to it as Ko-fi all
Yeah,
the time, no matter what.
yeah,
Like,
Well, it's like lo-fi.
yeah. That's why I
But
do
it's
it.
Ko-fi.
Ko-fi. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. On the down low fi, give me some Ko-fi.
good. Okay.
Makes perfect-
You sure it's not all about buying somebody a coffee?
Makes perfect sense to me, and I refuse to adjust my personality for that.
If they wanted it said coffee, they would have spelled
Yeah.
it KOFEE.
Exactly,
Okay,
Jill.
fine.
As I said, it's the Sean Bourne or Scene Bean argument. You can't
Yeah.
have it both ways. You've specifically called it Ko-fi. Anyway, Miss Marvel.
Now
What are
we've
we
gone down
talking
to a
about?
very odd path already. Hi.
We're already down this way. Like, how are you going? How are you all? How's this? Like,
I am like so energized after that intro because I just want, The Weeknd with a bombastic version of every one of his songs playing in my background now.
Yeah.
who's? Shaggy's. Shaggy. Mr. Lover,
What?
lover. Mm.
No.
You missed me, haven't you? Just
It's like- everyone's like,
Oh boy.
oh,
Like,
boy.
somehow
Shit.
fell back to
Yeah, can we put
generations.
him back into the ISO?
Yeah. Yeah, what will happen is that I'll appear and then there'll be this weird special effect and then Dion will appear in isolation.
Yeah. And just me reciting Shaggy lyrics for the next
Yes.
20 minutes. That's
Yep.
it.
It's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, that music was great and I wanted to dance along to it because it was fun.
It's a
Yeah.
fun kind of a show, is it not?
It
Ms.
is.
Marvel? Ms.
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 Marvel.
Marvel.
Ms. Marvel, someone who I have never had any experience with in the comics, and
I see.
only through this television show, which I thought was wholesome.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
it's
okay.
a wholesome comic too.
tell us about the comic, Jill, because I must admit it's one of those things that I've been aware of the character. I know she's shown up in cartoons and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but I've never read a comic with her, and so I was kind of like, I don't know where this is going, but it seems cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, the show pretty much nailed her. You know, she's a young girl in high school, of a Muslim Pakistani background, and she comes across a Terrigen mist and turns into an
Ah.
inhuman.
Ah,
Unlike this one, where she gets
Ah.
a bangle and unlocks
a thing
power
that we'll talk about in the
in the
spoiler
spoilers.
section.
Yeah.
Terrigen Mist, something we haven't seen since the
Yes.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. television show.
Oh shit! Look at you remembering
Exactly.
stuff.
And
Yeah.
the Inhumans television show.
Which we shouldn't try and remember at all.
Oof, I know.
Cunningly
So
brought
it's
back to
kind of
life.
hard to tell if it's officially been retconned or not, since we did see Black Bolt in Doctor
Hmm.
Strange. It just could be that there's no Inhumans in this multiverse.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, that's a thing for
Considering
the
I'm
spoiler
pretty
section.
sure
I think.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still actually.
Oh, I don't know. I thought they got rid of that.
No, I'm pretty sure they got rid of that.
Really? Because
Yeah.
it still matches up remarkably well. all
I'm
the way
sorry.
I know,
through.
but
No,
you're
I
still
stopped watching
allowed.
Marvel.
Like the ret part is called retrospective, so they can do it now. They can get rid of it.
Just
now.
remember, like, if they don't include those plot points or ideas within this, then Disney doesn't have to pay anyone.
Disney
Mm.
had it in the first place, though. Like,
Did they, though? Was it written in the
yeah.
contracts?
Yes,
We
because it
all
was
know.
ABC Studios, which is owned
Yeah.
by Disney.
Yeah.
So
well.
any decision to retcon it is basically then just going, we don't want to deal with all of that continuity.
Sure.
And yeah.
Either way,
Anyway, yes.
yeah, it's a very much a coming of age kind of thing and a coming of powers story, and all about relationships between high schoolers and all the drama that comes with that, and then also having to navigate getting superpowers
Oh my
with
god.
a very strict South Asian family.
Oh my god, a superhero origin story. I've never seen one of those. But then again, we haven't actually been introduced to this character, have we?
No.
No.
We know
And
Marvel from something else.
as in the Captain Marvel, is
Yes.
that what you're referring? Right.
Yes.
Well, that's where she takes her name from, because in the comics, Captain Marvel is her ultimate hero. And
In the show, it's definitely your
Yes.
ultimate.
yes, exactly.
What
Um,
I like about this is that it's actually try almost in a way the Marvel universe starting to look in on itself and mirror itself a little bit, so that you get that thing that within the Marvel universe, within the 616, if not that I love the fact that the actress herself hates the fact that they call it 616 because the actress is a massive Marvel fan. And
Yeah.
she's actually had arguments with Kevin Feige over it, going, "It's not fucking 616, dude.
Yeah,
It's the movie verse."
what a
But
boss.
yeah, I love it. For
Sure, that's going to go down well. You should argue.
Yeah.
You should argue with the studio head.
that. Yeah, it worked well. But yeah,
Great
like
times.
that this version of the character is, slightly different, but also that she is a fan of superheroes. Like, we're now getting second generation
Yeah,
narrative where the Avengers have been around long enough that they're now comic books and video games and movies and stuff within universe.
yeah. Well, I mean, the Avengers formed in 2012, and this show is set in 2025.
Oh, because we're still dealing with that fucking.
Yes,
aren't
because
we?
we all jumped 5 years now. So
Oh.
Is there a certain amount of like weird, kind of strange, ouroborous ideas that's going on here, where we're now watching movies or television shows that relate to movies or television shows that created a universe, whereas in that became like conventions based on the characters portrayed in the movies, which were based off comic books that had conventions that people went to do it. Like, I'm just watching this going, there's an Avenger convention in this
Yep.
in universe
mean,
in this.
Don't you think that if we lived in a universe with Avengers and we worship them like that, we'd also have events for them?
Absolutely.
Jill, I've been to VidCon, and that just makes me.
They're not YouTubers though.
No, but it's the same thing. Like,
Imagine if YouTubers were that famous but didn't suck. No.
No,
Imagine if YouTubers saved the world and had powers.
They think they do. Honestly, they're like, yeah, it's a strange world where you're just kind of like, wow, okay, interesting.
Yeah. But I like that. I do think it's an interesting thing where we've our internal logic and our internal narrative has now gone along enough that you can have fans. You know, for how many years it was always that superheroes were secret identities. They were, you know, the people who operated on the fringes of society, blah, 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 blah. Now it's like, no, there are people who wear the Captain Marvel t-shirts.
Yeah.
They think she's a girl boss, and that's where
But
it's
like, literally, she was probably 2 years old when the Avengers formed. Like,
well, that's
how young she is.
In Hawkeye that really kind of did my head in a little bit. That, you know, when you see Kate, Hawkeye,
Kate Bishop.
Bishop, thank you. I couldn't think of her last name. She's watching the Battle of New York as what, a 7-year-old or something?
Something like that.
You know, and internally there's a time clock as well that's continuing on, and it's fucking crazy that this shit has been around for 10 years now.
The most accurate representation of how superheroes would actually exist in the real world is The Boys. Like, I'm sorry, that's what the world would be like if superheroes existed.
I'd like to hope they're not assholes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they would be.
To those of us who have worked in conventions and around celebrities,
I am pretty sure they would be.
Now imagine a celebrity who has infinite amounts of superpower as well.
Anyway, that's not this though. This is a very wholesome.
Sorry, we've gone dark already.
Show, and I definitely, desperately want to know what Peter thought of this because she doesn't.
But before we do, should we have a synopsis?
Oh, sure.
Sure. Hang on. Do I have any music for this? I don't know.
I was hoping for a little bit. Do.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. Kamala is a superhero fan with an imagination, particularly when it comes to Captain Marvel. Kamala Khan feels like she doesn't fit in at school and sometimes even at home. That is until she gets superpowers like the heroes she's looked up to. Kamala Khan is Ms. Marvel. Yeah. She's a funky babe. No,
I
don't know. The music was
definitely
going in different directions.
I definitely absolutely loved the two things out of this show that I thought they did amazingly, which was both the music and the visuals, like the set dressing, the decoration, the style.
Oh,
of it.
yes.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. Like, because
It was so rich.
because it wasn't comfortable for me. Does that make sense?
It
Like,
does.
it was uncomfortable.
A
in the
white
sense-
man in his 40s.
Sure.
Yeah.
But not,
You know,
not
like-
uncomfortable in a bad way. I mean, it's just
Okay.
You know, like that's whereas it wasn't uncomfortable. Like, I don't like it. It was more like, oh, okay, different, strange. It's unusual. I like it.
Yeah. Hey.
I just have the IMDb page open because I often do to remember the names of the cast. And I noticed that it doesn't have a super high review, and IMDb actually shows you the metrics of who has given reviews. And it's very, very clear that like a lot of people have rated it 10 and a lot of people have review bombed it at 1. And if you look at the ratings by demographic, and the number of people who have reviewed this show who are males as opposed to females by about 30,000 males reviewing this show on IMDb outnumber females.
Wow.
So
Because women have better things to do
Wow.
than get online and hate on something.
That isn't necessarily even for them.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering where all of those 1-star review bombs are coming from.
Oh, a whole bunch of
Um,
fuckwit dudes who.
and by the
really-
looks of this, males in the age group of 30 to 44.
What
Oh,
a
you're ruining my
surprise!
childhood.
They weren't even children when
It's
this
not your
comic
fucking
came
childhood,
out.
dude.
How about you're ruining the childhood of people that did grow up with it? Like,
Yeah. You're
Don't-
shitting on somebody else's childhood, you fucking
Yeah.
entitled dipshit.
and look, even the showrunner, Sama Amanat, who is like pretty high up in Marvel,
Mm.
that was overseeing this show, expressed how disappointed she was in Review Bombers and people claiming that it was too woke. It's like, it's not woke, it's just a story about someone that's not white. Like,
Yeah.
fucking get over it.
Yeah. It does my head in that, like, and one thing that I think Phase 4 has done really well is explore different diaspora. You know,
Yes.
it's gone, okay, let's look at Shang-Chi. Let's look at Ms. Marvel. I mean, I think they touched on it to begin with Black Panther.
Mm.
But now in this one, you can see that there's a lot more kind of a clear intent to say, let's actually look into subculture. Let's look,
Yeah.
like, well, not subcultures, other cultures. Yeah.
See, it's a strange thing for me because I watch it and I'm like, so Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift can be considered one of those films that brought subculture out to the mainstream and everyone appreciated it and went with it. And then this sort of thing comes along and a lot of people are like, no, you can't do that. That's not exactly specifically what I asked for. It's like, I'm sorry, like film and television isn't a menu.
Oh,
Yeah, you don't
I know,
ask for
right?
things and then they give it. You should go in there and we're like, well, the chef's made this today. I was like, you want to try this? It's like, no, I want something else. Like, fine, but yeah, well, okay.
Sorry, going back just into the chat just a little bit, Tari's made a good point, and I think so. As well as being reviewed bombed, it also didn't get great numbers. Like its first episode was some of the lowest numbers that a Marvel series has seen for a premiere, and I think I had this conversation with you guys on stream or something. I personally think they kind of Disney either hobbled it or dropped the ball on it because they put it basically on the same night as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
yeah.
And whether the intent was let's get them watching Obi-Wan and then they'll go on to watch this, I don't know. But
What do you think is going to
It
happen?
didn't get a Friday night preview. It didn't get a big splashy premiere or anything. It wasn't like, here's the first 2 episodes on a Friday night, get hyped about it. It's just like the first week that Obi-Wan was moved to Wednesday, it was also on Wednesday. I'm like, that's a rough fucking drop.
But I mean, what do you consider, like, as I consider, like, coming up, September 28 is going to be one of the most amazing Wednesdays that we've seen for a long time, because on September 28, you're going to get an episode of Andor, an episode of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, the season premiere of The Bad Batch, and another episode of Handmaid's Tale, all releasing on the one night. So it's not
Wow.
like they're not thinking about, oh, we can't make stuff cross over. They're literally playing shit off against each other.
But it's also
Seems
not like
dumb.
it's broadcast television where you have to tune
Yeah.
in to one show or the other show. You can watch
Yeah.
Obi-Wan and then watch Miss Marvel.
You
Like,
can.
And that,
You're
and that
right.
ridiculous thing about, like, oh, we got all these people as soon as it dropped. Like, this is what it's strangely, they're still working on the metrics of, did people watch it immediately when it came out?
Yeah.
Instead of this whole idea is like, it's streaming television. It'll just get you the views. Like,
Yeah, and I don't know whether those numbers were first day or first weekend or first week or first episode numbers, but they were not great. And I just think that it didn't get the amount of love that other series have. And whether that's because they didn't have the faith in the source material or what, I don't know. But I personally, made it a thing that I'd watch my episode of Obi-Wan and then I'd go and watch my Ms. Marvel, and found them to be wonderfully different.
Wait a second. I just did notice something. Peter, are you telling me you haven't watched Obi-Wan?
You know this. That's why I didn't join your stream on Obi-Wan.
Well,
because I was like, I can't contribute.
that
Sorry.
that was Peter. She was fun while she lasted, but she.
I'm not. I will
Wow.
eventually watch it. I just haven't been in an Obi-Wan. But I actually do
Okay,
want to
right.
watch Obi-Wan because it speaks to the first Star Wars film that I ever saw.
You're
Yeah.
forgiven. What, episode 3?
I mean,
Yeah. Oh, well. Salty
Now-
on a biscuit.
anyway, what did you
Yeah.
guys like about this show?
Fucking near everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yep.
Even
Yeah, dude,
some of
I
the
had a fucking
supporting
ball with it.
characters?
Yeah.
Even the
I
lack of a decent villain?
Still a problem.
It's
Yeah.
still a problem.
Yeah. But
Um,
also, I mean, decent villain, yes, but also not the point of the series. The point of this series was about her finding out about her family and, you know, her history and building her strength up. Like,
Yeah.
that's where she's at.
And setting up for the Marvels.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
This is just like a little ski jump for the Marvels.
I hope you're wrong, because I think that would be undercutting the value of this show.
Sure.
Like, I actually think that it's doing really good shit. In terms of like very visible representation and also making people aware of, you know, Islamic culture and saying they're part of your community, just they're exactly the same as you. They are doing exactly the same shit as you.
Yeah, you know what I really enjoyed seeing inside a mosque and
Yeah.
people having conversations inside a mosque and hanging out inside a mosque. It's
Yep.
like it really just kind of drops the veil of secrecy that people from other faiths, I think, are afraid of. You know, they're like, oh, well, I don't know what it's like inside there. Like, you don't feel that you'd be welcome to enter as a non-practicing Muslim. Whereas, like, I guess Christian churches are a little bit more open door to anyone. But it just kind of, I think, gets rid of the scariness that some people have around other religions.
And I really enjoyed that. I like the like that it is about that. It is about being, you know, a brown Muslim girl from Jersey, but at the same time, it's not laboring the point or anything. It's still showing she's a superhero and she's having a great time, and she's got, you know, friends who are non-Islamic. She's got, you know, family history that goes back. And actually, one of the things I like the most is the exploration of history. You know, exploring
Yes.
partition. That
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, right, yeah, cool.
Yeah, that was super fascinating. And I think, like, pretty important for people to learn stuff like that, because not everything gets taught in history classes.
I
You know,
kind
the
of
first time I heard about partition,
what, in
Doctor
this.
Who.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
There's an episode called Demons of the Punjab, which is all about them being in India at the time that partition was happening, and families being split in half, and people being told, you have to go and live over there now because this is your religion.
Yeah.
And the British doing what the British do so fucking well.
washing their hands of it.
Yeah, but also fucking it up royally on the way out.
Yeah, taking a lot of money out of it. Anyway, the stuff
They
that
Brexited.
Oh, big time.
in another country. And one of the other things I actually quite enjoyed about this series was it was another small story, and I was quite happy with that. Like, I mean, you know, what's some of the better television that comes out of the Marvel stuff is like smaller based things. Like Hawkeye, it's a smaller sort of story. Daredevil was a great smaller sort of story. You don't need to have these giant galaxy spanning things, even though she's literally a superhero with cosmic power. At least it's like, how does that relate to just a small community?
Yeah.
And that's what I like too. Like, you know, tell me a small story about small people who have small lives, and it's interesting.
Yeah, what
Because-
are her biggest dramas?
Yeah, getting a
Catch the
license.
kid.
Boys.
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 Yeah, and things like
Intergenerational trauma.
yeah,
Oh, another one. Look, all the problems seem to be intergenerational trauma.
Yeah, you know what the good thing about this was, though? I liked her mum by the end of it.
Fuck yes.
I'm like, oh, good job, mum. You redeemed yourself.
Yeah.
I
she
don't
was
know. I
lovely.
liked her mum at the start of it, to be honest. I really had that first episode struggle of like, oh, I think that I'm just too old to watch stories with teen protagonists because I'm just like, listen to your parents. Stop being a little dick. Like,
But I mean,
what are you doing?
I suppose that was kind of the nice thing is like all of the Khans were lovely.
Oh my god, her dad. Her
Yeah.
dad is
Her
like
dad
so
is the-
cool.
Oh,
Especially when
Love
he
the
came
dad
dressed
so
as the
much.
Hulk.
Yes. Oh my god, I was so heartbroken when she rejected
know.
him. I'm like, you little bitch.
be nice to your dad. He's trying.
It's like your parents do so much for you, you ingrate. And I'm like, oh wait, that's what mum used to say to me.
And now
Yes.
we become our
Yeah.
parents.
Yes, especially when you're sitting there, yeah, stop living in a fantasy land, Kamala. Oh, wait.
Oops.
Oh, no.
Still cosplaying at 38. Oh no.
Hey, you're never too old or too young to cosplay. Just as you, well,
you can
yeah.
be too old to write about it though for a particular publication. Anyway,
Zinger.
but yeah.
Any
mm,
niggles with the series?
Like a villain.
Did
Come
you
on.
need a villain when you had
Yes.
antagonists?
No, this was the whole point of this sort of stuff is, I mean, even if it had been kind of boring, like, you know, kind of wanted to see it like a teenage coming, like, what was that one where it was like just the school bully?
like Flash Thompson type thing.
Yeah, no, just like, yeah, well, not really Flash Thompson, but just any of those teenage drama things. Like there's a Mean Girl. There we go. Mean Girls. You know,
Okay.
where like if that had have been the villain, okay, fine, and then they could have done something.
Trophy.
It's just-
Yeah,
He's
like,
like,
"Ah,"
Trophy
he's
because
like,
there's
"No."
always a mean girl, and that would have kind of pissed me off, to be honest.
Yeah.
If it kind of fell into that trope of, oh well, it's a teen drama with a female protagonist, so the antagonist has to be the mean girl.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of like you talk about tropey stuff. I think some of the tropiest of Trope Town that went through this was like all of the hot guys that she ran into constantly. It was kind of every single male she met was a thirst trap. And she's just like, hello, which is hilarious.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, Cameron maybe, but like the other guys were just like normal.
No, but like the
boys.
red
I mean,
scarves.
Bruno
and-
definitely not thirst trap, but Cameron,
No.
you know.
the-
Sorry, Bruno. Brian,
intellectually a
Brian.
thirst
Brian?
trap. What are you talking about?
And our Red Dagger boy, he was all right.
I did wonder whether you were going to be going for Red Dagger Boy. He looked like.
Yeah. But I mean, just that kind of stuff was. I just kind of all I was like. It seemed to me that the task force damage control set up to, kind of correct things became a villain in this somewhat, and I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
with the amount of villains that you have available to you in the Marvel universe, why the fuck couldn't it have been like AIM or something?
I'm sorry, you're saying that like you feel like it was an accident. Like they were obviously the real villains the entire way through.
But they weren't,
Right,
because they're
yes.
not really villains.
And
I think that they
I
are
would
if you're
argue
that
that they are.
community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they seem to be-
I think that the police / FBI / whoever surveils certain communities are the villains to those communities.
Oh yeah.
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 But we don't want to think about that because this is a nice American television show.
So you wanted a bit more like villains in actual costumes, flinging stuff around, being all like, "Ooh, villainy."
Yeah, where's
Like
the
a
yellow?
mwahahaha
Wait, yeah,
villain.
where's the twirling mustache and the bright yellow suits that the AIM people wear? Who are all like scientists but evil.
Well, some of the villains in the Ms. Marvel comic are a little bit obscure and probably wouldn't work on TV. Like one that was actually a not a budgie, not a canary, a cockatiel.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a little bit weird.
Like an actual cockatiel?
Yeah, like a cockatiel that
What-
has
Yeah.
been
what made the
mutated into
cockatiel
a
villainous?
person.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
yeah, like, I mean, it's just-
And was
But I
angry
mean-
about being caged?
Oh, I don't remember. But like one of the first villains was Cameron. Like his character, which was also an Inhuman, he had a very similar power to like what he does in the show. They were kind of like the yin and yang of each other.
Okay.
So
But
So,
yeah, like
an interesting thing that we haven't actually sort of looked at is her powers, because in the comics, her powers are quite different. Like,
yeah, she doesn't have this hard light power. She has stretchy powers. She
kind of like
can,
Mr. Fantastic.
yeah,
yeah,
kinda.
a little bit, but like not as full on as he is. So yeah,
Yeah.
she tends to make her fists like really large and just whack people with them, and she can stretch long and do
Like
that kind of stuff.
Mr.
but-
Fantastic.
And I do think they made a very good choice in not going with that, because it tends
Yeah.
to look dumb.
Yeah.
They did it in the final episode. She's actually said "embiggen" and she stretched to 10 feet tall. That was cool.
She did, which was cool, but I do think that like just the straight up, stretchy skin thing tends to look goofy. The way that they've done it with this kind of magical crystalline light power, I think, to me, made it feel a little bit more, acceptable, less.
It made it
looking.
really interesting, and also I think it tied in really well with this idea of cosmic, lovely light show. Got to be visually interesting and different, and allowed them to play a lot with that kind of stuff. So I was kind of like, I saw this, reimagining or whatever they're doing of Ms. Marvel's powers, and I was kind of like, yeah, that's great. I love it. And also, they're a bit shit, and she's bad at it, which is great.
Yeah,
because
I mean, she just got her powers.
everyone
like,
loves a
you're not gonna be
superhero.
good.
Everyone loves a superhero who's shit at it.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it would have been too much for her to have gone up against a super duper villain. When you're just kind of starting out. When really you've got so much else to deal with as a teenager, like school and trying to learn these powers, and then also finding out that there's a secret in your family, and etc.
And there's another dimension that is, poking into this dimension, and crazy shit's coming for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pete, where are you at with it? You've been quiet. I want more of your thoughts.
I haven't been that quiet. I've had thoughts. I thought it was fun. I really liked the style of the show. I like it. Like, it felt really different to all of the other Marvel shows so far. Felt, and in a weird kind of age appropriate way. Like, this is a very different protagonist. I mean, I guess the closest probably being Kate in Hawkeye, in terms of having like a very young female. And it, I kind of liked that the series was like colorful and fun and had those graphic elements that felt quite nice. I did have a little trouble connecting for the first two episodes, only because I really don't think that this show is for me. Even nothing else, because I was like, listen to your fucking parents, you little shit. Like, that is a reasonable compromise. Just go to the con with your dad. Like, what are you doing? And of course, if she'd done that, plot wouldn't have happened. So I had a little trouble connecting, because I'm not the target audience, but it's okay to not be the target audience and still kind of appreciate what's going on. But by the end, I was really digging it and looking forward to it every week. And as somebody with zero backstory, as usual, in terms of this character and what she's supposed to be and what she's supposed to be able to do, I felt like whatever kind of origin that they have created for her in this context felt kind of reasonably smooth, and it felt like it fit into the universe for me. And there's probably like spoilery things that we can talk about in regards
It's
to
nice
that
to have that outside perspective on the source material, because like sometimes you're like, oh, they didn't do the same thing. I'm like, oh, where's this going?
I mean, there's always a whole bunch of suspension of disbelief like involved in this stuff anyway, but I was like, yeah, I'll go with that. The only thing that I was like a little bit weird with, particularly towards the end, is that she seemed to get like quite good at fighting, as in like quite agile towards the end, and that made sense kind of in Hawkeye, because she had spent like years on those skills, but it weirded me out a little bit in the fight scenes towards the end where I was like, oh, she's like flipping now. When did she learn to do that? Like, is this a skill set that we didn't hear about before, or is this like, do her powers just now make her super agile as well as this other stuff? We're not really
Maybe if she'd done some training in Pakistan with the red
How
daggers
long
or
was
something,
she
it may
there
have
for?
explained it. Not long enough. But I'm just trying to explain it.
So that was the only kind of thing that I was like, let's go with it. Let's go with it. They're fun. The choreography's fun. Like, cool.
Yeah.
I don't have Dion's problem with villains or no villains because I saw it more as a coming of age story than as a,
A hero story.
hero story, which I think is okay. But I guess I maybe take your point as to who is the kind of key antagonist here, because that does get like a little bit muddy towards the end. But then if you're having fun, you don't really care that much, to be honest.
Really, the only weak point for me was some of the acting moments, and it was kind of coming from Iman Vellani herself. I didn't think she's a very strong actress, but everyone around her just kind of like lifted the performance up. But so there were some moments where delivery was just a little bit slow or stunted, and that threw me out. But otherwise, overall, was really well done.
Yeah. I know where you're coming from, Dee. There are a couple of times with the clandestines and everything that I was like, I either wanted to know more about them or, have some
or
more...
leave it out.
Yeah. Yeah, like, because there's a big group of them and they've all got kind of weapons and everything like that are specific, and then they kind of disappear. And actually, also, we'll say, Rob makes a good point that the visual style that we saw for the first couple of episodes with the animation and all that kind of stuff, which I fucking loved, then fell away, unfortunately, fairly quickly for the second half of the season. You're like, yeah, we're going to stop doing that. And I don't know whether that's a budget thing or a time thing, or because it would be distracting from the actual story that's trying to be told. But yeah, there are a couple of times I was like, bring back the cool cartoons on the sides of buildings and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's a bit of the old? Maybe that was a definite stylistic choice where they were saying she's moving on from her dreamland and coming back into reality, and then deciding she wants to use hyperextended fists and stuff.
Possibly.
Pretty good explanation for it.
Maybe her journey back to her ancestral homeland in Pakistan allowed her to move on from her daydreaming and reconnect with reality.
Possibly.
All the while totally enjoying the grandmother and the mother's.
And shout out to our old friend Anjali Bhamani, who was one of the aunties. So a guest we've had it a few times at Supernova, who's one of the actors from Overwatch.
Yes, she was Auntie Ruby.
Yes. And as soon as I was like, Anjali, you're a fucking crazy... I was going to say, you're a crazy bitch. But no, she is very, very nice, but also manic person. Like, and she does a lot of stuff on Critical Role. She's very, very good.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, should we do a rating and then talk spoilery business?
Yeah.
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 Sure.
Nice.
I'll start off on this one because I haven't done one for a little while. I need to shake it out of my system.
Yeah, clean it out of your system.
Shake it out of my system. I'm going to give it 35. No. It's too easy. I set them up and just knock them down. You're like, no. I had a good time with it, but yeah, I didn't have an amazing kind of, like, there were too many bits where it dropped off. Like, I really liked watching it, listening to it. I love the family. So my points come off because I'm like, I don't really know where you're going with this villain problem, but I like the people in it. Like, I can't wait to see, I think earlier someone else had mentioned in the chat, Nacht Monkey and Nightlight. Or having those background characters, like having Ned and Flash and Mary Jane and them all combining as roughly the same age. That would be amazing. So yeah, like, I'm going to give it like 75? 75. There. Solid.
Nice. Okay. That's right. I'm going to write that down. I was writing something else and looking at things that somebody was saying in the chat. Dion says 75. Jill.
I'm gonna say 79. As much as I really enjoyed it and it had a lot of good stuff in it, it wasn't entirely my bag.
It wasn't your
yeah.
bag, baby.
I don't know why. But it just didn't resonate with me as much as some of the other stuff that I've watched. I think it's just because it was maybe for a younger audience, and you know, some of the story just didn't gel 100%. But yeah, it was still an enjoyable watch, and yeah, to keep with continuation of the movies, probably watch it.
Okay.
You got to watch all of them. If not, you
You
won't
must
get it.
complete everything.
If you don't watch all of them, you won't get a very mild second post-credit scene reference that you'll be able
It's
to
fucking true though.
tie back to 7 films and 4 TV shows ago, where they put up the brand of soda that Thanos once spat at.
I must admit, there was a point where the dude from Damage Control showed up, and I was like, "Huh? Oh, that's the guy from No Way Home." Oh wow!
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
Could you imagine?
I now know secondary bit characters.
Could you just imagine though, like some of the agents talking to actors, like, "I've got you a really cool part. What is it? Well, you're going to be in like 7 Marvel things, but you're going to be a bureaucrat. And it's very important, and you can't say anything to anyone ever, or we'll sue you into the ground." It's like, Jesus. Okay, cool. Who are you? I'm a bureaucrat for Damage Control. Amazing. Well, at least I've got a royalty check for 27 years.
Admittedly, Jimmy Woo from whatchamacallit?
The FBI.
The FBI, and from Ant-Man and WandaVision.
Yes.
You know, that's one of those roles where you'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm Jimmy Woo.
But yeah, but I mean, that's when you get dialogue and other stuff that goes through there. You know, being known as the guy that works for Damage Control, who doesn't even have a name.
I think you have to be lucky if your bureaucrat becomes a meme.
Yeah, because unfortunately, Damage Control guy, not meme worthy.
Damage Control in the comics in the like 90s, 80s, and 90s was awesome because it was all basically a bunch of contractors going, "Fuck me, how do I rebuild a skyscraper?" Because it's like, "Oh, you had a fight today." It's like, Jesus, okay, here's your bill. Going up to a supervillain being like, "Yeah, so you owe us $750,000 to repair what you did."
Yes, and I like that idea, and you're right, it doesn't generally... This is a very different version of Damage Control.
Yeah, they kind of started out like that in Homecoming, but then they very quickly veered into bureaucratic territory.
I think that the Vulture's company in Homecoming was kind of what Damage Control would have probably been.
Yeah.
But then they become the corporate, government sanction thing, and you're like, But also, in that situation, you need your corporate bad guys, don't you?
Yeah.
But then, as you say, Dion, there are times when I'm like, bring back AIM. Put them in their stupid fucking suits.
Yep, put them in the stupid yellow suit and get MODOK in there, but not a cartoon version. Do a live action MODOK, you fucking cowards.
Yeah. You've done Arnim Zola, come on.
Yeah.
You can do this shit.
You can do MODOK. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Giant floating head. And it still would have to be, fucking, what's his name, who does the voice? Peter, did you have a number? I can't remember. No, you haven't done your rating yet.
I agree with everything Jill said, and 78.
Right.
For reasons of Jill.
Perfect.
I think I maybe enjoyed it more than you all a little bit. I'm going 85. I really had a lot of fun with it, but also I loved seeing a different cultural perspective on the Marvel Universe, on like inside a culture. You know, going to a wedding, having a big song and dance number. You know, I love that one of their key touch points for, movies and stuff in this version of the Marvel Universe is, I like Kingo Senior.
Yes.
You know,
I'm
what a
like, you
fucking
gotta get
random
your.
reference.
You made the Eternals. You may as well reference it.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of hoping that maybe when they went to Pakistan, Kingo would show up, but you know, a little Kamal Nanjiani would have probably been great. But you know, yeah. Look, and I liked the family. I loved that sort of interaction between them. I just really enjoyed it, and I would say yes. Problem with the villains, and I did think it felt like it ended very quickly. Like, you know, we came back from Pakistan and then it was all wrapping up within an episode. I was like, oh shit, okay, right, we're out of things to do, right? And I think maybe I thought that because the villains didn't get a third act. Like in any other series, you would have some kind of reemergence of the villain stuff and taking it all back home. In this, we get the Cameron thing, which kind of doesn't do that. So anyway, I had a lot of fun with it. I really enjoyed it. And
bring back the deviants. I'm down for
it. Yeah, fuck it. Why not?
Fucking why not? Have Kamala beating up deviants. I'm with it.
You know what would be really cool is if while they were flying over to Pakistan, they fly over that piece of the Pacific, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That has a giant hand and a fucking head sticking out of it.
Yep.
Right.
Let's reference that shit as being a thing that happened. I dare you. Right. Okay. We've got a bunch of other ratings in the chat. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we'll come back and do a little bit of spoiler. We'll go and do a clip, first, and then we'll come back and do some spoiler and then some feedback from last week.
Ooh.
I know, it's exciting, isn't it?
I'm excited.
Which one should I put on? Should I put on the montage of you learning to use the powers or a little bit of the homely atmosphere if we get to learn about the Khans?
Oh, let's get homely.
Homely. Okay, let's look at this nice experience of just being at home with the Khans. Better than the Kardashians.
Oh.
Amir, if you don't stop praying long enough to put some food in your mouth, one day you will starve to death.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive you one day.
Kamala, please don't forget to look at the mirrors every 15 seconds at least, huh?
Oh, Kamala, my Kamala, the road is a long and winding one, so never fully stop at stop signs.
Way too early for poetry, Abu.
All right, listen, you do know that you don't really have to look in the mirrors that often.
Yes, she does.
Just make sure that the instructor can see you move your head. Okay.
And remember to say Bismillah before you start the car. You're gonna need all the help you can get.
Don't even have a license.
Yeah, particularly.
Bismillah.
Yes, Bismillah. No, we will not stop at the stop signs. Let them stop. Bismillah. Wait, you know what? Just really nice to have nice family units portrayed on television for these people because when you think about it, superheroes have a shitty enough life.
Yeah.
You know, they probably wouldn't fight for everyone if they didn't have something to fight for. And this was a nice
like
representation.
it's nice to see a hero that's not orphaned.
Yes. Has healthy relationships with parental units and siblings. Yeah. Crazy. Nobody's trying to kill her brother or sister or whatever.
Yeah,
you know, they just get on pretty well. There are a couple of characters I do think that got
put up
slightly
the spoilers
Oh, sorry.
logo. Sorry, Quinny, just need to get a minute. Spoiler time now. Okay, so spoil away because I've got a big one, but you know, spoiler.
Spoiler. You
That's
didn't
not
like
a spoiler,
it.
Dion.
Spoiler.
We all knew that one.
Oh, God. That's fine. I'll let you. Yeah, sorry. Continue on. Carry on.
No, I was just saying that there are a few characters I think that got underserved a little bit, like her best friend, whose name I can't remember. Nakia. Yeah, like she had a plot line that then didn't get paid off, and then they brought back in a character who I didn't think needed to come back.
Zoe Zimmer?
Yeah. I was like, okay, cool. You're back. Good.
Yeah, but at least she wasn't like the bitchy school antagonist, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That was nice to see that not go the way that you expected.
And they very, very, very subtly hinted at her being into Nakia in the last episode, like she was in the comics.
Oh, did they? I missed that. Because I'm very bad at reading human signals.
Reading sapphic signals.
Yep. I don't even know what the word sapphic means.
Oh,
Sounds like a
okay.
character out of Star Trek.
It's just lesbian terminology, Quinny.
I'm sorry, I am very definitely not fluent.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did we think about the end?
Well, I mean, they had to at least reference Carol. I mean,
Yep.
Oh, that one.
Kamala's
That
gonna
end.
Oh
be
no,
in
I was going for the one just before that.
Okay, I was
And-
going
and-
to say, which end stinger are you going for?
I'm going for the previous one, but what I want to know, Peter, what did you think about the subtle stinger before the end stinger?
I don't even remember it.
The mutation one.
Oh, that
Yeah.
one. Oh, that
And
one.
the little guitar riff that was in there.
Well, you know, it confused me slightly because by that stage I had looked up the character and understood that her comics backstory was an Inhuman, and then I got confused about what kind of mutation he was talking about.
Yeah, so they're having.
So
they're
I was
having-
like, oh wait, are they going that backstory or are we going mutant?
They're having a
backstory?
fight. They're having a fight. I know that in this one, not having a fight, but there's a problem with it because technically speaking, Fox, 20th Century Fox owned mutants, like mutation, and
The
then
word.
yeah, and then they tried to bring that into the Marvel universe through the Inhuman kind of way.
Yeah, like
But
Marvel
now-
were like, well, if we can't do mutants, we'll do Inhumans.
But now they
Yeah.
own both, so they don't give a fuck, and they can actually finally put together mutants and deviants, and that which already exists in the comics. It was just nice for them to formally recognize it for the second time, where it wasn't an alternate universe.
Yes.
So in universe, they recognize this is a mutant gene, and then they even did the stinger in there of the like 90s X-Men cartoon, to which everyone went, "Oh, you clever people!"
Yeah.
But also, fuck you for being so fucking subtle. And instead of it, you're just teasing. It's like, we could do this if we want, but we're not
It's
going
better
to.
than a boner joke, isn't it? Like,
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Far more comfortable with that concept than fucking. He's just happens to look like the same guy.
Yeah.
So it also essentially opens the door for anybody that has been labeled as an enhanced being in the MCU to now officially be deemed mutants, aka Wanda.
Oh yeah.
AKA, do we care anymore given the fate that Wanda met?
Oh, did she really die though?
I
Oh wow,
still
you're
have
dirty.
feelings about
You are
that.
so dirty about
She's
this.
dirty. Her girl got
I'm
done.
so between like that. I'm just like I have so many levels of dirt towards Marvel for all of those women now. Like it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I like that they've kind of opened the door on the mutant thing. I'm like, that's cool. That's really exciting. And it was a lovely character to do it with, because I don't think anyone kind of saw that coming.
No.
Yeah.
And especially because, like, up until that point, it'd be very easy to just go, okay, the thing is the rings, like the
Yes.
the bracelet, which I also liked a little bit of the history of that too, because there's some, subtle world, well, not particularly subtle world building going on there. Where they find the bracelet, what do you see on the floor?
Yeah, the 10 rings
Symbols of the
logo.
10 rings, and you're like, oh shit, okay, right, so that's.
God love
So-
them for fucking trying to make 10 rings a thing. Stop
They
trying to
got
make
there, though.
stop trying to make the 10 rings a thing. It's not going to happen.
The persistence paid off. It's a thing.
Yeah, I like the 10 rings.
They lost me completely with the 10 rings. It started off fine, but when they shied away from Fing Fang Foom, I'm like, fuck you. Where's my giant green dragon? That's all I want.
Yeah, well, there was a giant white dragon.
Sorry,
and he-
Peter's just sitting there going, what the fuck are you talking about? What's a Fing Fang Foom? Well, you see.
I mean, I've just kind of learned to pick my moments to tune into and tune out of with these things.
True.
Yeah.
True.
When we go down the path.
I
of
was
talking
actually
about
in my
Peter
head.
Rebuild.
I wasn't listening to you. I was still fuming about. I don't know what I rated that, but I should have rated it lower, because the anger has it's only grown.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh no.
not happy.
But the other stinger, the The one after the one.
Oh my God, Pete, were you as angry as I was that she seemed skinnier
Oh my God.
than in the past? Like she turned
stop.
side on and she disappeared.
That's her new special power.
Where does she keep all her internal organs?
Yeah.
Maybe
That is a bit of an error, but I do believe that I need this one a teeny tiny bit explained because, like, obviously I'm like, Carol, but also, wait, what? How? Why?
No,
But-
you're in
but
exactly the same
why?
boat as
But why,
everyone else.
Carol?
So
Yeah.
we know that there are two bangles. Is it possible that Carol had the other one and by picking it up, they've swapped places?
Is that what they do?
yes, it could
We
be.
don't know.
So you got to you got to
That's-
understand that Carol
Kamala
Danvers,
disappeared and Carol appeared, so I'm assuming they swapped places.
Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel has access to the power cosmic, which seems to be the thing that's powering the bangle. All right, and the important thing to realize is that this power cosmic is harnessed and bestowed by the race called the Kree, who you would have
Is it
seen.
the power cosmic because she kind of got it as a radiation effect after the Tesseract exploded? So wouldn't it be the space stone that's made her transport?
Kind of. This is where it's all kind of very. It's
Now we get into gonk territory.
It's wibbly.
Yeah,
It's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, but it's still trying to. The important thing to remember is you've got to just keep two alien races involved, like in your mind when we're going into this next phase of Marvel cosmic stuff. Is the Kree and the Skrulls. The Kree Skrulls are going to be part of, and I'm curious. Are we doing Secret Invasion or Secret War?
Secret.
Secret Invasion is the next series.
Yeah, but I
But
saw
Secret
someone
War is
talking
what
about
they're
Secret
talking
War
about building up
because Secret Wars involves the Beyonder, which is
Maybe.
like again another level of like brain explosion. Fuck. Okay, that's a different type of cosmic weirdness. But this one just is very much like, oh, this is interesting ways to get into. The Skrulls are refugees. They can shapeshift so they can hide as people, which means that they could take over people's lives like Nick Fury. And the Kree are the people who are against them, kind of, and they're kind of cosmic supremacists, but
Yeah,
sort
we've
of
seen
good.
the Kree, the Ronan the Accuser from the Guardians of the Galaxy, and all those guys are Kree.
And they can both be
Yeah,
at the
and
same
Jude Law.
time blue and human looking, and also but are in charge of like
Yeah, well, like there are native Kree and then there are immigrant Kree.
yeah. It's just kind of it's weird.
Yeah. And then there's whatever is the Noor dimension.
Realm.
Yeah. That, and whatever the clandestines were.
Yeah.
I can't explain it, and I don't want to even try.
I would like to point out that some of the stuff that we have seen in the She-Hulk trailer of like buildings and such are the same buildings that we saw in Ms. Marvel, that is the DODC headquarters.
Oh, okay.
So our little bureaucratic powers could be back in that show.
Once again, as you say, Dion, you get a 6-picture deal or a multiple TV series deal, but you just keep showing up as a boring fucking autocrat.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Look,
Yeah.
I wouldn't knock it back though if they said, "Hey, do you want to be, computer technician 4 from AIM in all of the Marvel stuff?" I'd be like, sure.
I would, because there's that possibility that I'd be the guy who was playing Gallagher. That man's playing Gallagher. Thought we didn't notice. But we did.
Yeah, or Shield agent.
Well, where's Shield at? Oh, they
Yeah.
haven't seen them in a while.
Where's the well, they kind of got disbanded because they were part of Hydra. But
Yeah,
wait,
true.
like
And their sword.
I'd definitely go back and play a Hydra person instead of looking like normal. I'll wear the green outfit with the red bug eyes. Like I'm down for some of the weird hench costumes that are all through the Marvel universe. It's just like, yeah, let's bring some of that shit back. Here's your job. Here's a yellow jumpsuit. Good luck.
With a bucket on your head.
Well, now that you mention it, why haven't we seen more of Sword? We got it in one division and that was it.
Yeah, like Sword kind of got, they've kind of dropped off the radar a little bit, but also whether or not Sword is still the one that Nick Fury is on up in space, because he was up on the space carrier thing. I think we're going to get a lot of that in whatchamacallit, Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the Marvels. Who knows?
Yeah. Many, many different things that we will be seeing more of down the track. Okay, here's a question for you. Has this shit become impenetrable?
I think that happened about 5 years ago.
I think Peter's slow blink in response to that question was answer enough for most people. It's like,
no, I'm pretty sure that was our internet connection.
I think I can date it. I can actually date it back to when Beck officially left the podcast because we were doing too much Marvel.
Oh, was that why she left? I thought it was because of the smell.
Oh, no, Beck has been very vocal about how impenetrable Marvel is becoming. I know she still enjoys
she said she enjoyed
the content. Yeah, she did love this show, but it becomes a little bit. If you want to get into it, you've got 20 fucking movies that you need to watch before you can understand what's happening now.
And I think something like Ms. Marvel is actually probably a reasonable thing because you don't have to have seen too much.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, a lot of new fans, can relate with Kamala because, they know of the Avengers through osmosis and just, having it in the zeitgeist of society. So they could probably get on board with this and say, oh, she loves Captain Marvel. Yeah, she looks cool. Oh, the Iron Man's awesome, all that kind of stuff. And maybe come in with this series, hopefully.
Yeah.
There's something to be said. I kind of looking at the way, so the amount of content that's released by movie and TV shows, studios, hasn't actually changed. It's the type of content they're delivering, and it comes in phases. This whole decades of westerns or war movies, and things sort of have that sort of. This is just the first experience of having this superhero genre as a specific thing that is got so many varieties in it, and they've doubled down on it, and it's kind of I like the way
the same continuity though.
Yeah, but they've done it in such a way that when something fails, they're very quick to go, oh, it's okay, it can just go away and doesn't affect the overall plot line. But when something succeeds, but when something succeeds, it can help them sprout more offshoots. For every successful television show, there's a few superhero ones. There's a few ones that haven't quite worked. It's just that they've been relentless on the genre. So that's kind of the thing. It's because they found a couple of new and interesting parts of that genre that started with and made a lot of money, the whole first phase 1 thing. I think it all starts with Captain America as a widely accepted, exciting adventure that people liked, so they kept going. And most of those first superhero blockbusters that were crafted blockbusters, not just superhero movies, allowed them to then go, well, we can do this and we will fill that thing. And now I feel it's a bit like the buffet. We've got so much there that we can either go and gorge ourselves if we feel like it, or just, eventually you just might kind of walk around and go, I just want a small salad. Don't want a buffet anymore. I'm going to go for a walk.
Karina makes a good point that the relentlessness can lead to fatigue. And I have suffered from that fatigue. But as a horribly pedantic completionist, I still keep going back.
Don't talk to me about fatigue. I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. It's been 45 years of having stuff shoved down my gullet. I have nerd foie gras.
Now you're a beautiful fattened goose.
You like Star Wars? Have all the Star Wars in the world. Yeah, they just keep doing it. I keep sure, feed me.
Fuck off, I'm full. But it is just X-Wing thin.
Yeah. Yes, I am the Mr. Creosote of the Star Wars universe.
And your slow blink, Pete, did it mean what we thought it meant?
No, I think that was a bad internet connection moment. But I don't know. I feel like it again, as somebody who doesn't already have history with all of the backstory that's connected to any of this. And as somebody who has encouraged others with no history with the content to watch these films, I think it depends on the film, because, you know, you can't, for example, just watch Endgame, but who want to in that situation. I think you look at something, for example, like Bond, and that is a franchise that has been going for decades, and you can pick up pretty much any Bond movie and just watch it.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
Know anything. Whereas a lot of these films, you do like to kind of appreciate it. You need to know a fair bit at this stage. And I think when it comes to the movies, like if you're interested, it's doable to do a watch through. I've been making my parents do a chronological watch through of all of the films because I think that they'll enjoy them. And also it means less explaining for me. But once you start adding a whole bunch of series to that as well, that is a lot of content. That is a lot of content that if you're interested in dipping your toe into it now. And kids, it is going to be like Bond. Like, when my dad picked up a James Bond film when I was a kid, I was like, ugh, old movies. Like, kids are going to need to kind of start being interested in the history of cinema to start actually getting into these things. When you think about how long ago Captain America was made, and then think about growing
Iron
up
Man
in the 90s.
was honestly the first film that came out in 2008.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's like, when we were teenagers in the 90s or early 2000s and watching a film that was made in mid 70s. So, or 1980. And not that we didn't, like I watched a whole bunch of great films that were made in the 80s, but it was kind of like, oh, I'm watching some vintage cinema. I am educating myself.
It was interesting that you mentioned Captain America, D, because Iron Man was the first, but Captain America was the first one for me that actually did that thing of changing a style. That, like, there'd been a couple of films up until that point which had been modern and everything. Captain America was the first one where they got a director who had a particular style, Joe Johnston, and went, we're making a historical adventure romp as opposed to a modern superhero story.
Yeah,
and
took a character that is ridiculous and made that character realistic.
Then in that case, it was Thor. Because the moment somebody made Thor work...
Did Thor work, though?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes. I think...
The first Kenneth Branagh one.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to pronounce it like that. But yes, Kenneth Branagh, I feel like, did a fantastic job. And I think that's the one thing that the Marvel cinematic universe has benefited from, is having so many diverse voices in their directing to bring us a lot of different stylistic choices across the superhero genre.
I think they need to have a clean break with all of this previous Marvel universe stuff and just get Ken Burns to do a documentary about the first phases and do that for everyone who comes now who's a kid who wants to start again with the new Marvel universe when they inevitably reboot it. They just get Ken Burns in, do a fucking doco on it, and be like, perfect, done.
God, that makes me feel exhausted, the idea of rebooting any of this at this stage. Oh my God.
I don't want them to do that. That'd be awful. But then again, this is what they're doing with DC.
Having said all of that, my first Star Wars experience was the film that was released when I was a teenager, and I had not seen any of the previous Star Wars material, and I still enjoyed it. So,
well, when we see
content can traverse decades.
When we see Finn Wolfhard playing Wolverine.
Ew.
Sort of, anyway.
Now we've got something exciting.
Yeah. Yes, we do. We have a voicemail.
An actual
voicemail, and then we explain what we meant by that, which is not what I thought it meant. Was like call Quinny on the phone, listen to a message, and then hang up and text him.
But we had a listener, Kelly. She sent us a voicemail, and we should play that. It was about last week's Thor one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's have a listen. What should I say?
Under review. I think that you were bang on the money. I don't mind that Natalie Portman died in her character. I think that was kind of just as she was dying anyway. So that made sense. The problem was with Chris Hemsworth's reaction to it. Basically, he promised her something and then reneged on the promise immediately. And then she saved the day. So it just didn't really make much sense. If you can give people powers, then give everyone new Asgard powers. Give everyone in the world powers to defeat this god monster. Give everyone powers if you need to defeat this monster. Why did you need to go to the god realm to get an army if you can just imbue people with godlike powers? That was an overpower kill that just destroyed the film.
Well,
Good point, Kelly. Good point.
So true.
Yeah, like all of the right points, hitting there and agreed with. But thank you. The justification, absolute, confirmation bias is what I want from voicemails.
Yep.
We are right.
Just want our echo chamber.
Yes, the more echoey and the better. But
and you too could send us a voicemail. Do you want to listen to your send it in? We should give you a format. How should you do that? So that we don't have to
record it
on
your phone.
Just
probably,
give us tell us who you are. Tell us what you wanted to either confirm or tell us where we went wrong, and then we'll play it.
Maybe keep it to about a minute
or less. 30 seconds. Short game's a good game. One file, that'd be great. Send us a couple, different things. Address us directly and go, I would like to tell Dion why he's wrong.
Yes.
Here is my 4-hour commentary on why I'm wrong. But
telling Dion why he's wrong is like the funnest part of the night.
It is, honestly, it's why we do this shit.
Do you have your very own but why?
Yes, absolutely.
Address it to Peter. Say, I would like to ask Peter, but why?
Yes. So yes, record it on your phone. Just every phone has the ability to record audio these days, and then send it in an email to info@theperiodictableofawesome.com, and we will pick it up and we will play it just like we did that with Kelly's, which I'm very excited. I'm super excited that we got a voicemail, whatever the fuck that means now. Sorry, it's just like being back in the old days.
Oh no, the old.
Is there anything we missed?
Did we forget to touch on a point? You can. It's interactive. I love the chat. Don't get me wrong.
Were you going to talk about what the old days was really like, Dion?
Terrible. Don't.
Yeah.
I think we look back on the old days and
5 miles to school with no shoes on in the snow.
Yeah.
I remember in the old days where we'd listen to 20 voicemails, one after the other, and then have to respond to them and pretend like we cared.
We would have to upload our videos at 20 kilobytes a second, and it took forever, and we weren't able to do it, and we could only limit ourselves to 60 megabytes for our whole podcast before the server would crash.
We lived the old days, so you don't have to.
None of this newfangled Twitch / other things or bits and pieces.
Which is the one thing about boomers that I don't get, where they're all like, oh, we had to do this in our day. And it's like, yeah, but you did that so we could have a better future, you fucking selfish cunt. I won't say that word.
Perfect. Love it. Yes.
Tell us how you really feel.
The evil queen represent.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, that's our time.
Voicemail.
Right, that's it. Everybody go home. Ring a ding ding, everybody. Okay, what do we got happening next week? I don't have the thing in front of me.
We're talking Star Trek Strange New Worlds with everybody's favorite daddy, Anson Mount.
And special guest star of Anson Mount's hair.
Oh, yes.
It's not
such a coif.
Not as I had put incorrectly on the schedule, Brave New Worlds. It's Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
In the opening
talked about that
spiel.
new Brave New World series, did we? That was an odd turn.
No.
Anyway.
Did we do Brave New World? Oh, yeah, they did come in. It's like, oh, what was that? That didn't exist. Oh, yes, it did.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, that was a thing.
We've got a lot of stuff coming up because we haven't got it's almost the end of July, so you have to tell us what you want us to review in August. Knowing so please also let us know what you want us to talk about. We've got a few different things. There's Bullet Train. There's Prey.
Oh yes,
yeah, the
Very
Predator
excited
one.
about
That's
that.
really
New
interesting
Predator
coming out.
film.
Rise of
Not going to watch Bullet Train.
Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Sandman's coming out next month.
I'm super excited for Sandman.
She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Beast, Lower Decks,
Paper Girls?
C season 3, absolutely 100% watching
another
C
one?
season
Yes,
3.
they keep making that stupid fucking show.
And then
Paper Girls was one that was it you suggested, Pete, or was it you, Jill?
Phil brought it up, and I seconded it because I like the comic.
And
I saw the trailer and it looks terrific.
Yeah, I saw the trailer the other day too, and I went, "Wow, that looks like a heap of fun." Fuck yeah!
Don't forget, we've also got coming up in September. We've got the Rings of Power, like Amazon's crack at Lord of the Rings.
Jill, tell us how you feel.
Give it a go, but it's probably
I'm
boring.
low key kind of excited by that. I don't know why, but The Hobbit sucked. Never doing The Hobbit again. But
I love The Hobbit.
Oh no! I love Lord of the Rings. Hated the Hobbits.
No, I'm the opposite.
I hate to admit, there's been a couple of things that I thought would be absolutely fucking terrible, but I've been enjoying quite immensely, and one of them has the bad Chris in it.
The
Chris Pratt. I'm watching The Terminal List, and I'm quite enjoying it.
Oh,
I don't know how to explain that to you. It has John Carter of Mars and Star-Lord in this show, and I was like, that's a pretty much like kind of a cheaper Jason Bourne sort of thing, and I'm kind of digging it. But but I will say, if I can advocate for one thing that you might want to watch on Disney Plus at the moment, it's called The Old Man with Jeff Bridges. It sounds weird, but it's Jeff Bridges playing an ex-CIA operative guy as an old dude with two Rottweiler dogs that are trained in German to attack people, and it's kind of it's super violent and quite scary. And I was like, this is great.
Okay.
Get on that. There you go. That's not really nerdy, but go right ahead.
Okay. And Peter is also advocating for?
I mean, Blackbird, if you're a Taron Egerton fan, just saying. I'm 3 eps in on Apple TV, and I'm a little bit hooked now.
Oh.
Apple TV is doing some great stuff. I can't wait.
Besides
season 3 of C is coming out, and why are you not excited by it?
No.
But you didn't like the cliffhanger of season 2?
Oh, Predicanga has mentioned the Resident Evil series on Netflix, and I have been meaning to have a look because the last movie was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I wrote a review of the last movie where I explained why it's terrible, but why I still enjoyed it.
Oh.
The series is interesting. I like the series because it's very, very obviously all shot in South Africa.
But it is set in South Africa.
It is set in South Africa, but also there's a whole bunch of the same locations. So everything that I hated about the look of The Watch,
right,
which was shot in and around Cape Town and in a whole bunch of old industrial sites and stuff like that. Everything that was shit in The Watch works remarkably well for Resident Evil.
Well,
so
we all know that you're just hanging out to see the Monsters reboot movie.
Oh fuck! That looks terrible. Jesus.
Some people shouldn't be allowed to have money.
I don't think he has any money. That's the problem.
Oh,
some people just shouldn't.
Movie?
No. Yeah. Anyway. Well, that was lovely. Thank you all, and it's nice to be back. And I'm sorry that you've got feeling poorly, and let's hope that you don't get too poorly.
Fingers crossed.
Too more poorly. Yeah. And anyone else out there, you can all get together. Why don't you all hire an Airbnb and go and stay there and be in ISO together? Can I get COVID twice?
Sounds like a really weird and uncomfortable version of Big Brother.
Fair enough. All right. Yes, and anyone on the chat, if you've got COVID, sorry, I hope you feel better soon and take care of yourself. Honestly, it's not fun. Still feeling a bit tired. Might go have a nap after this.
A nap? It's bedtime.
An 8-hour nap.
Aha.
True. All right.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, thanks everyone. Quinny, is there anyone that we're going to go raid? But why I'm asking you that question? Because
why?
Are you able to do that now? Because you're in.
I can. Okay. I mean, we could actually. You know what?
Yeah?
We should definitely go and raid Barjo because he is playing Stray, which is a game that I actually want to check out. Exactly. So I think we will go and raid some Barjo because it's a game about playing a cat. How fucking cool is that?
He has the backpack.
Yes, it's very exciting. So we will do that. Thank you all for joining us.
Bye.
Good night.
I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not sit here counting zeros in a cubicle downtown. I wanna look out my window, see 'em flying, and swing across the horizon as I cheer 'em on so proud. Deep-powered girl keeps staring at her face, and call Colossus and have 'em teach me ways, and then we'd exercise. I'd be one of the guys